Hi, I'm Talicza.
And I'm Rachael, and this is Transatlantic Crime, a true crime podcast that covers stories from each side of the pond. Every week, we will both cover a separate story with a running theme.
Disclaimer, this podcast will contain swearing and details that some people may find offensive. If you are of a sensitive disposition, listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Transatlantic Crime.
So close. Episode 3 is about female killers.
Yes, lady murderers.
Lady murderers, okay. So I was going to tell you, last week I did the Becky Watts case.
Yes.
Yeah, so I spoke to my brother and he said there's this really good YouTube channel and it's called Jim Can't Swim. Which is weird because, yeah, it's like to do with murder and it's really, really good apparently. He does like, Chris Watts' case. He does like a rundown on that.
Yeah.
And do you remember that lady? And she basically it was like a cold case files. She got arrested for like murdering her ex-boyfriend's wife. And she was a cop. And like they basically found her DNA on a bite mark on the body. And they found her like ages later. Like that's a really good confession tape, and he basically comments on that. But he did a Becky Watts case one, and my brother told me that apparently in prison, the guy Nathan, I think he's called Nathan Daniels, he got boiling hot like melted butter like thrown at him.
What?
Yeah, and apparently he lost an eye and stuff, and like has got like a really burnt face.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like prison justice. And he wanted surgery, and they were like, no, it's cosmetic surgery. Like, you're not having it. I know.
Sorry.
That's what you get for chopping someone up in a fucking bathtub.
Yeah, sorry you got some butter in your face.
Oh, loads of it. And also he I didn't know this, but the girlfriend Shana was pregnant with twins when she was being interviewed for the murder.
Really?
Yeah, they don't mention it anywhere. I don't know, like, yeah, my brother just like came at me with all these facts, and I was like, what the fuck? I have got to tell Rachael this. So
we should all watch that YouTube channel.
Yeah, I started watching a bit of the Chris Watts one, and it was really good. Yeah, so that was my little update.
Cool. Well, I don't have any updates. Mine from last week are dead and gone, so.
No. Rachael, you have one job. And it's murder. Well, I think I'm going first this week. I've got quite a famous British one. You may have heard about her because she's like one of the most famous, an angel of death.
Okay, maybe.
Like a medical murderer. Like
Oh yeah.
And I usually find these like a little bit boring, and I just think like it's like with Harold Shipman and stuff. It's just like fucking easy pickings. Do you know what I mean? Like
right.
They are so lazy, like as a breed of murderer. And they always kill like fucking 200 people because they just get away with it forever. So they're a bit annoying. But this one is pretty interesting. She's called Beverley Allitt. You heard of her?
I don't think so.
Good. That's good then, because this will be brand new information. Okay. So Beverley Allitt was born on the 4th of October 1968, and she grew up in the village of Corby Glen in Grantham. I have no fucking clue where that is. But I think it's like just up north somewhere.
Okay.
Because later on, they talk about her being in like Nottingham, I think, in between like the middle of the country and Scotland somewhere.
Right.
I fucking should Google this, but I'm not gonna. She had 2 sisters and a brother, and she was the second oldest. Her dad worked in an off licence, and her mum was a school cleaner, and she would often volunteer for babysitting jobs. She left school at 16 and she started a course in nursing at Grantham College. I read this, like, Oh no, wait, it's not that bit. So she exhibited some strange behaviour early on in her life, including the wearing of dressings and casts over wounds that she would use to draw attention to herself without actually allowing those injuries to be examined. So she was like displaying a bit of like Munchausen syndrome early on. And then this was a bit that made me laugh. It was like, as a teenager, she was described as chubby, attention seeking, and as showing aggression towards others. I was like, babe, who wasn't? I was like, well, if that's a teenager, then call me a teenager.
Aw.
Chubby, attention seeking, and showing aggression towards others. Tick.
Yeah. You're either that or the opposite when you're a teenager.
Yeah, skinny, meek, shy.
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yes.
Okay, so she spent a lot of time in hospital seeking medical attention for a string of physical ailments, which resulted in the removal of her perfectly healthy appendix, which was slow to heal as she insisted on interfering with the surgical scar.
Oh my goodness. That's an issue.
Like, she's just fucked. And also like, how, like, if you got appendicitis, you're like dying in pain. Like, she must have either been faking it or just have gone on so much that they were like, fine, we'll take it out, and then you can never come back.
Here you go. See ya.
Yeah, like, fine, just fucking take it out. That's actually mad. But she was also known to self-harm, and she had started resorting to doctor hopping. So basically, medical practitioners became aware that she was a detention seeker, and then they wouldn't take her seriously anymore, so she just went to a new doctor. She went on to train as a nurse and was suspected of odd behaviour, such as smearing feces on the walls in nursing homes where she trained.
Why does this part of the story sound familiar?
Do you know a lot of shit smearers, Rachel?
We're not going to go down that road, but...
All right, yeah, let's just fucking skip over it. There's no time to name them all.
No.
So her absentee level was exceptionally high, the result of a string of illnesses, and she scraped through her course, like only just passed. She worked in a local pub to make extra money and met her boyfriend there. He said later that she was aggressive, manipulative, and deceptive. Babe, same. No, I'm joking. No, not on that one. It's just a story about me.
Yeah, is it just you, Talicza?
Oh, fucking hell. She claimed false pregnancy as well as rape before the end of their relationship. Like, okay, I definitely wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
The Beverley Allitt is me joke is over. So despite her shitty results and her poor attendance, she basically failed her nursing examinations multiple times. She was taken on a temporary 6-month contract at the Grantham and Kesteven Hospital in Lincolnshire in 1991. And that was basically because they were chronically understaffed. She started working in Children's Ward 4, and there were only 2 trained nurses on the day shift and 1 for nights when she started, which might explain how her violent attention-seeking behaviour went undetected for as long as it did. So they were just under the cosh, basically.
She was just doing stuff at night and nobody knew.
Yeah, like, there's nobody to really, like, have to answer to, I don't think.
Right.
On the 21st of February, 1991, her first victim, 7-month-old Liam Taylor, was admitted to Ward 4 with a chest infection. Allitt went out of... I know, absolute brand new human. Allitt went out of her way to reassure his parents that he was in capable hands and persuaded them to go home and get some rest. When they returned, Allitt advised that Liam had a respiratory emergency, but that he'd recovered. She volunteered for an extra night duty so she could watch over the boy, and his parents chose to spend the night at the hospital as well. Liam had another respiratory crisis just before midnight, but it was felt that he'd come through it okay. Allitt was left alone with him, and his condition worsened dramatically, becoming deathly pale before red blotches appeared on his face, at which point Allitt summoned an emergency resuscitation team. Her colleagues were confused by the absence of alarm monitors at the time, which had failed to sound when he stopped breathing. Liam suffered cardiac arrest, and despite the best efforts of the attending team, he suffered severe brain damage and had to be kept alive on life support machines. On medical advice, his parents had to make the agonising decision to remove their baby from life support, and his cause of death was recorded as heart failure. Allitt was never questioned about her role in Liam's death.
That's so sad.
I know, she's such a piece of shit. Only 2 weeks later, Timothy Hardwick, an 11-year-old with cerebral palsy, was admitted to Ward 4 following an epileptic fit. Allitt took over his care again following a period where she was alone with the boy. She summoned the emergency resuscitation team, who found him without a pulse and turning blue. Despite their best efforts, the team, which included a paediatric specialist, were unable to revive him, and an autopsy later failed to prove an obvious cause of death, although officially they later listed his epilepsy as the cause.
Oh.
So I suppose, like, sometimes when you have an epileptic fit, you can, like, swallow your tongue and stuff and,
Yeah.
like, restrict your airways. So that would have been, like, the perfect cover up, just to say, like, oh, he had a fit and he couldn't breathe. So
Right.
yeah, so she's got away with 2 now. 1-year-old Kaylee Desmond, who was admitted to Ward 4 on the 3rd of March with a chest infection from which she seemed to be recovering well. 5 days later, on the 8th of March, with Allitt in attendance, baby Kaylee went into cardiac arrest in the same bed where Liam Taylor had died a fortnight before.
No.
Yeah, the resuscitation team were able to revive her, though, and she was transferred to another hospital in Nottingham, where attending physicians discovered an odd puncture hole under her armpit during an examination. They also discovered an air bubble near the puncture mark, which they attributed to an accidental injection, but no investigation was initiated. Like, fucking accidental injection.
Yeah. How can anyone...
I suppose
Why wouldn't they investigate it too?
I suppose they're relying on the fact that, like, there was a resuscitation team, so they're like, oh shit, they probably just rushed in there, like, maybe gave her some adrenaline, like, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
So she's basically taking kids that have, like, really arbitrary problems and suffocating them somehow, and then just loving it, like, when the resuscitation team comes in. And she's really fucking weird in that she always, like, gets really close to the parents. It's just really sick, like, how she gets like close to the parents and, like, pretends to be their friend, and, like, she's so twisted.
She's just drawn to, like, the drama and the sadness and the weird and the attention.
Yeah, and it's like a hero complex thing.
Right.
Like, she's like, I saved them, like, I was there just in time.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. 5-month-old Paul Crampton became Allitt's next victim. He was placed on Ward 4 on the 20th of March 1991 as a result of a non-serious bronchial infection. So, yeah, so these children have all got respiratory problems anyway.
Yeah, but they're all, like, fixable.
Yeah, they're fine, but it's just, like, all their problems were to do with breathing, so I think she's, like, preying on those particular ones. Just prior to his discharge, Allitt, who was again attending a patient by herself, summoned help as Paul appeared to be suffering from insulin shock, going into a near coma on 3 separate occasions. Each time the doctors revived him, but were unable to explain the fluctuation in his insulin levels. When he was taken by ambulance to another hospital in Nottingham, Allitt rode with him, and he was again found to have had too much insulin. Baby Paul was extremely fortunate to have survived. This was only because he was moved to the hospital where Allitt couldn't get to him. Because she just keeps going back as well. Like, if it doesn't work the first time.
Yeah.
I hope yours is a bit, like, not funnier, but light-hearted. This is grim.
Mine is weird.
Okay, that's better than grim.
It's a little bit funny, I guess. There are some funny moments.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're going last then. The next day, 5-year-old Bradley Gibson, a pneumonia sufferer, went into unexpected cardiac arrest, but was saved by the resuscitation team. Subsequent blood tests showed his insulin was high, which made no sense to the attending physicians. Attendance by Allitt resulted in another heart attack later that night, and he was transported to Nottingham where he recovered. So the ones that are taken away to a different hospital where she can't get them, they're okay. Despite this alarming increase in the incident of unexplained health events, all in the presence of Allitt, no suspicions were aroused at this time, and she continued unchecked. But that's so true of, like, so many angels of death, isn't it? Like Shipman.
Yeah.
And I'm reading at the moment The Killer Across the Table, you know, that new book by John Douglas.
Yes.
And he said there's a guy in there called so it's called, like, something Harvey, and he would, like, kill old people. And he got away with it for fucking ever.
It's weird because I was gonna do my story on Dorothy Puente. I didn't because...
Was she a nurse?
She wasn't a nurse, but she would sort of lure, like, helpless, like homeless people and things like that, and she would have like a house for them, and you know, social services were fine with her doing that.
Oh, she
And
was like a
then she would,
landlady.
yeah, and then she
That
would,
lady, yeah.
yeah, she would like kill them, and you know, take whatever money or whatever they had, and she would keep like cashing their social security checks or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were like helpless people, you know, they were, some of them were old, some of them were young, they were homeless, and she would just use the fact that she was this sweet old lady, and everyone thought she was this sweet old lady.
Yeah. It's like the perfect fucking cover.
Yeah, but I didn't do her.
Okay, I'm excited for the weird one.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the 22nd of March 1991, 2-year-old victim Yik Hung Chan turned blue and appeared in considerable distress when Alec raised the alarm, but he responded well to oxygen. Another attack resulted in his transferal to a larger hospital in Nottingham where he recovered. His symptoms were attributed to a fractured skull, the result of a fall.
What?
So he'd fallen
Yeah.
and fractured his skull. That wasn't her. He'd done that anyway.
Okay.
That's why he was in hospital. I mean, how a fractured skull would make you fucking turn blue,
Right.
not 100% sure, but they were just like, oh, fuck, it just must have been because of that.
Yeah.
Alec next turned her attention to twins Katie and Becky Phillips, just 2 months old, who were kept in for observation as a result of their premature delivery. A bout of gastroenteritis brought Becky into the ward on the 1st of April 1991. When Alec took over her care, 2 days later, Alec raised the alarm claiming that Becky appeared hypoglycemic and cold to the touch, but no ailment was found. Baby Becky was sent home with her mother. During the night, Katie went into convulsions and cried out in apparent pain, but when summoned, a doctor suggested she just had colic. The parents kept her in their bed for observation, and she died during the night.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, this was Becky, not Katie. I don't know what the fuck Beverley Allitt had done to her, but yeah, she was really ill.
I feel like by now she's like a professional at it. She's probably so quick at it.
Yeah, I think she uses insulin a lot, and like I don't know enough about insulin to know why it kills you.
I'm sure for little babies, like there's so much that you can
Oh,
like
as well, yeah.
give to them, and it's too much of whatever.
Yeah. My boyfriend, yeah, I've got a boyfriend, if you didn't know, Rachel. Um, my boyfriend is diabetic, so I'll ask him.
Yeah.
I probably should have done that already, but I'm a fucking busy woman. So Becky's, he's a lucky man. Becky's surviving twin Katie was admitted to Grantham as a precaution, and unfortunately for her, that's where fucking Beverley Allitt works. So it wasn't long before she was again summoning a resuscitation team to revive baby Katie, who had stopped breathing. Efforts to revive Katie were successful, but 2 days later she suffered a similar attack, which resulted in a collapse of her lungs.
No.
Following another revival effort, she is fucking fighting though. She's taking on Beverley Allitt like a trooper.
Yeah.
She was transferred to Nottingham, where it was found that 5 of her ribs were broken, in addition to having suffered serious brain damage as a result of her oxygen deprivation. In a supreme twist of irony, Katie's mother, Sue Phillips, was so grateful to Alec for saving her baby's life that she asked her to be Katie's godmother.
No.
Fuck you.
Oh,
Alec
poor lady.
I know. Like, Alec accepted willingly, despite having inflicted partial paralysis, cerebral palsy, and sight and hearing damage on the infant.
Oh my goodness.
What? I mean, it just fucking baffles the mind, doesn't it? Like somebody could just be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'll be your baby's godmother. Like fucking hell.
She's probably lapping it up too.
Oh yeah, I love, like that must have made her day. Four more victims followed, but the high incident of unexplained attacks in otherwise healthy patients and Alec's attendance during these attacks finally caused suspicions to be raised at the hospital. Like fucking finally.
Yeah.
Literally, that's like 8 so far, even more than that, I think.
All in 1 year, or
Yeah, this is all 1991.
there must have been a lot of babies dying if she was getting away with 8 in a row. Like, maybe not in a row, but
Yeah, like I mean, it's a children's ward, so
yeah, there was a lot going on.
a lot going on, yeah, and they were really understaffed, but still, that is a bit fucking ridiculous. Okay, so her attendance during these attacks finally caused suspicions to be raised at the hospital. Alec's violent spree was brought to an end with the death of 15-month-old Claire Peck on the 22nd of April 1991, an asthmatic who required a breathing tube. Whilst in Allitt's care for only a few minutes, the infant suffered a heart attack. The resuscitation team revived her successfully, but when again alone in Allitt's presence, baby Claire suffered a second attack from which she could not be revived. Although an autopsy indicated that Claire had died from natural causes, an inquiry was initiated by a consultant at the hospital, Dr. Nelson Porter, who was alarmed by the high number of cardiac arrests over the previous 2 months on Ward 4. Thanks, fucking Nelson. Like, thank God someone noticed.
Yeah.
So an airborne virus was initially suspected, but nothing was found. A test that revealed a high level of potassium in baby Claire's blood resulted in the police being summoned 18 days later. Her exhumation discovered traces of, I think it's lignocaine in her system, a drug used during cardiac arrest but never given to a baby. The police superintendent assigned to the investigation, Stuart Clifton, suspected foul play, and he examined the other suspicious cases that had occurred in the previous 2 months, finding inordinately high doses of insulin in most of them. Further evidence revealed that Allitt had reported the key missing to the insulin refrigerator. What the fuck are you doing? All records were checked, parents of the victims were interviewed, and a security camera was installed in Ward 4. So, suspicions were raised when record checks revealed missing daily nursing logs, which corresponded to the time period when Paul Crampton had been in Ward 4, when 25 separate suspicious episodes with 13 victims were identified, 4 of whom were dead, and the only common factor was the presence of Beverley Allitt at every episode. I'm sure no one else is reporting babies having heart attacks. When do you hear of a baby having a heart attack?
Never.
Like, never. No.
Let alone like 13.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, you just be like, another heart attack, Beverley. Seriously, like you're killing them at worst, and you're a Jonah at best. Like you're a bad Penny. I'd be like, I'm not letting her near my fucking kid. She's bad luck. So it was 26th of July that they felt they had sufficient evidence to charge her, but then it wasn't until November that she was actually charged. So like, fuck knows what she was doing in that time, but I'm sure she was being watched a lot harder. Allitt showed calm and restraint under interrogation, denying any part in the attacks, insisting she had merely been doing her job. A search of her home revealed parts of the missing nursing log. Further extensive background checks by the police indicated a pattern of behaviour that pointed to a very serious personality disorder. And Allitt exhibited symptoms of both Munchausen syndrome and Munchausen's by proxy, which are characterised by getting attention through illness. And then it goes on to explain Munchausen's by proxy and Munchausen syndrome, which I'm not going to do because if you don't know what it is, then just Google it and Google the case of what is she called? That one. What's it called, Rachel?
The one who's in jail right now.
Gypsy Rose.
Yes, Gypsy.
Yeah, like Google Gypsy Rose and that will tell you everything you need to know about Munchausen syndrome. It is fairly unusual for an individual to present with both conditions. Despite visits and assessments by a number of healthcare professionals whilst in prison, Allitt refused to confess what she'd done. After a series of hearings, she was charged with 4 counts of murder, 11 counts of attempted murder, and 11 counts of causing grievous bodily harm. As she awaited her trial, she rapidly lost weight and developed anorexia, a further indication of her psychological problems. After numerous days due to her illnesses, as a result of which she had lost 5 stone in weight, she went to trial at Nottingham Crown Court on the 15th of February 1993, where prosecutors demonstrated to the jury how she had been present at each serious episode and the lack of episodes when she was taken off the ward. So basically they're saying, like, whenever she was there, this happened. When she was not there, nothing happened. Evidence about high readings of insulin and potassium in each of the victims, so like salt poisoning basically, as well as drug injection and puncture marks were also linked to Allitt. She was further accused of cutting off her victims' oxygen, either by smothering or by tampering with the machines. So they talked about her unusual behaviour in her childhood, and Professor Roy Meadow explained Munchausen syndrome and Munchausen's by proxy to the jury, pointing out how Allitt demonstrated symptoms of both, as well as introducing evidence of her typical post-arrest behaviour and a high incidence of illnesses, which delayed the start of her trial. So it was 2 years later that her trial started. So it was Professor Meadows' opinion that Beverley Allitt would never be cured, making her a clear danger to anyone with whom she might come in contact.
Jeez. I wonder what her family thinks and people who know her.
Yeah, I mean, it just said at the beginning that her dad was an off-licence bloke and her mum was like a school cleaner or something.
Yeah. But she had siblings as well.
Yeah, it's like brothers and sisters, and it doesn't say anything about her having like a shitty like upbringing. It just seems like she was shitty to herself.
Right.
Like she just would pick at scars and stuff.
Yeah.
So after the trial lasted nearly 2 months, and Allitt only attended 16 days of that due to illness.
I'm sick today.
She was like, ill, can't come, don't care. I am, honestly, I'm snowed under. I cannot make this. Yeah, well, she was going to be fucking convicted anyway, wasn't she? It doesn't really matter if she's there. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
so she's convicted on the 23rd of May and given 13 life sentences for murder and attempted murder.
Good.
Yeah, it was the harshest sentence ever delivered to a female in the UK, I'm assuming. But according to Mr. Justice Latham, it was commensurate. I don't know what that word means. Thanks, Wikipedia.
I don't know either.
I'm assuming like she deserved it, is what he's saying.
Okay.
Because it says it was commensurate with the horrific suffering of the victims.
Okay.
I mean, if you know what that word means, good for you.
Yeah.
Their families. Oh, for fuck's sake! So their families and the ignominy she had brought upon nursing as a profession. Justice Latham, stop showing off. Like, I don't know what you're on about.
This guy.
Oh God, this guy. Ooh. So rather than going to prison, she was incarcerated at Rampton Secure Hospital in Nottingham, a high security facility housing many individuals detained under the Mental Health Act. So I don't know if that means like she pled insanity, like she's basically in like a crazy hospital, not just a prison. But I think they have to like make sure she's watched because she obviously hurts herself for attention. So
Right.
I suppose she must have to be like sedated and watched all the time, or she would just do something to herself.
Yeah.
And maybe other people if she was in prison. She might like poison people or like fuck them up and then be like, oh, it's okay, I'll save you. Like, so yeah, she does kind of need to be like highly watched, I suppose. So she began her attention-seeking behaviour again in prison, and she was ingesting ground glass and pouring boiling water on her hand.
This lady is messed up.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to her, but fuck. Well, she's got a personality disorder. She subsequently admitted to 3 of the murders, of which she was charged, as well as 6 of the assaults. But that's not all of them. Like, she's still trying to get away with like a vast majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
The appalling nature of her crimes has placed her on the Home Office list of criminals who will never be eligible for parole. So she's obviously not very popular in England. I've seen like, you know, like trashy newspapers like The Sun and stuff. Like there's always stuff in there about how she's like she's got benefits and she's got a telly and stuff, like it's like just stuff to wind people up. So there's a quick bit on that. There have been accusations, most notably by Chris Taylor, father of Allitt's first victim, baby Liam, that Rampton is more like a Butlins holiday camp than a prison. I need to explain to you what a Butlins holiday camp is. Do you know?
I mean, I know what it is, but you should you should explain.
So it's like it's like a holiday camp where you go and you stay in like chalets and they're really skanky. We used to go all the time when I was a kid, so don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm better than Butlins. Like I was there every fucking summer because my family were poor. So I know a Butlins. Like, and they have people on the camp called like red coats, and they basically wear red blazers and they put on a little show for you like every night. Like they do like a little sing song and bingo, and there's like it's like a staycation basically.
Is it like do you have like a pool, or like you're by the seaside or something like that?
They're usually by the sea. We used to go to one in Minehead. Pontins is another type of Butlins, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember once we stayed there and we went with my nan, and my brother pissed the bed, and he said, "Nan, I've pissed the bed," and she was like, just put the mattress outside to dry, and if anyone asks, you can say I did it.
Oh.
And you can say I pissed the bed.
Oh no.
I know. She like gave 0 fucks. People thought she pissed herself.
That's amazing.
That's love. That's love. And obviously that Butlins mattress was probably riddled in like 20 other people's piss anyway.
Oh.
So, whatever. Like I was like, Tom told me the story of my brother, and I was thinking in my head, mate, you're not the fucking first person to piss themselves at Butlins, and you won't be the last.
That mattress has seen a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the whole holiday must have cost £50 for like 5 people. It was insanity. Yeah. Sorry. So just to cap it off, she applied for a review of her sentence, and they were like, "Fuck you, absolutely not." That was in 2006. And then, as of July 2018, she was fighting for her life in the high security hospital. According to Lincolnshire Live paper, someone had set up a GoFundMe for her to raise £2,000. It's not clear who made it.
What?
Yeah, someone set up a GoFundMe for her. It's not clear who made it, but it had no donations at the time that the article came out, and it just made the news, and everyone was like, "Yeah." I think she's got some sort of cancer.
Wow.
And let's be honest, like it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if she's still alive and kicking. Actually, I should look that up.
Yeah, she must be.
I think it would make the papers if she did die,
Yeah.
because it was a huge case. So I think she's probably still alive right now. And that is the piece of shit Beverley Allitt.
See you later.
See ya.
That's a good one. I don't think that I might have heard of it, but I didn't know all the details, and I didn't know about all the little babies. So sad.
I'm so sorry. The dog's going fucking apeshit.
That's all right.
Sorry, my housemate's friend has arrived to drink and eat burritos, so there might be a little bit of noise, but we can just edit it out or just leave it in.
Yeah,
because
sure.
Shows I've got friends. Apart from you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be professional and ignore that.
I didn't hear any dog. It's fine.
What? That's me. I totally stole that joke off Phoebe from Friends. Credit your comedy, people.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So, who have you got for me this week, Rachel?
All right. So I've got Amy Bishop. Have you heard of her?
Ooh, no. I love ones I haven't heard of.
All right. Well, here you go.
Okay.
I always try and find something that like a podcast hasn't done. Although this lady is pretty popular, so she is on a couple of podcasts.
Popular? What, is she fucking prom queen?
No, the exact opposite. You will find out.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Okay. So, Amy Bishop was born in Massachusetts on April 24th, 1965, to Judy and Samuel Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
She had a younger brother named Seth. Growing up, there was a huge emphasis on academia. Her father was a professor at the University of Boston, and there was huge sibling rivalry.
Okay.
So, academics came pretty easy to her brother, while Amy, she had to work really hard for it. So, I think it sort of created a complex.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1986, when Amy was 21 and Seth was 18, her jealousy of her brother reached its peak when Amy accidentally shot Seth.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Her story is that she was playing with her father's gun, and in front of her mother, she shot Seth, straight shot to the heart, and he died.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
She ran off, and the cops came and questioned the family and caught her. Her mother testified, and she's always testified, that it was an accident, and records of the shooting had disappeared mysteriously by 1988, and much to the disappointment of the community, Amy was released. It was basically like her mom vouched for her that it was a huge accident because she was there, and
Sorry, how old was she again?
she was 21 and her brother was 18.
What? For a second, I was like, I misheard you, or like didn't like hear you, and I thought you were basically saying she was like a little kid.
No, she was a full-grown adult by this time.
Like she's a fucking adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after that incident, she sort of
Unpleasantness.
yeah. There's a YouTube video, and they basically like reenact the whole thing. You know, it's one of those shows where they're telling the story of murderers, and there's reenactments. So it's they do the whole reenactment of her like shooting her brother, and there's more to the story where she said that she was up in her room trying to figure out how the gun worked or whatever, and she shot off the gun in her room, and then she came downstairs and was like, oh, this gun isn't working, and then pointed it straight at her brother and shot it.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Her brother, 18. Like, I still can't believe that she's 21 and he was 18.
Yeah, and he was, he was a promising student. He was a really good musician. He played like the violin in school. Everyone thought he was just this amazing kid. So
So she had to get rid of him.
pretty much, yeah.
He had to go.
Yeah. So she goes off to university. She graduates from Northeastern University in 1988, and she gets married to James Anderson. She attends Harvard to get a PhD in genetics.
Wow, she did okay in the end then.
Yeah, she marries this guy. They both sound really smart, going to Harvard, and she gets a PhD in genetics.
Brother's out the way. Like, see ya.
Yeah. In 1993, one of Amy's supervisors at the Children's Hospital Boston, Paul Rosenberg, was mysteriously sent a pipe bomb that did not go off.
Fuck. She's putting those learnings to good use.
Well, she was never, they never proved that it was her or her husband, but Amy and her husband were investigated as Amy was not on good terms with Rosenberg, as he gave her a negative evaluation, and her husband James was heard saying he wanted to shoot or stab or strangle Rosenberg before the pipe bomb was sent.
Fuck. It's so weird how, like, these people find each other.
Yeah.
Like, I'd go to my boyfriend, do you know what, I really want to send him a pipe bomb. And he'd go, okay. Like, it wouldn't be like, oh, okay, I'll go to the library and get books on how to make pipe bombs. Like, that would, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, or even if you were like, oh man, I wish I could stab that person. You know, the person, your loved one would be like, oh, that's a little extreme.
It's a bit strong, isn't it?
Yeah. Amy and James did not cooperate with investigators and wouldn't let them into their homes or take polygraph tests. That's actually okay with polygraph tests. Like,
yeah, I don't know if I would take a polygraph test. Like, I like to pride myself on being quite honest, so I think I would pass. But then, you know what, just on the off chance he didn't.
Right. So no one has been charged with the incident to this day. So that's basically 2 incidences where Amy did something because she didn't like someone and basically got away with it.
Scot-free.
Yeah.
But it's so outlandish. Like, it's what's easier to believe. Like, this, what's she look like? Is she, like, pretty, or, like, is she normal looking?
She's very normal, kind of mousy.
Yeah, like, what's easier, saying somebody like that sends pipe bombs, shoots people, or just being like, oh, it's probably an accident? Like,
yeah. Amy and James had 4 children. In 2002, there was another incident. And this one is this one is nuts, Talicza.
what? What's she done now?
Her and her kids and her husband went to an IHOP. You've been there,
Oh,
Talicza.
I fucking love an IHOP.
You've been to an IHOP.
Oh my god, it's the best. Don't ruin IHOP for people. Like, not you, her, I mean. Or whatever she's going to do.
You know, she did ruin this for someone.
Well, that makes me more furious than the pipe bomb.
Yeah, so she goes to an IHOP in Massachusetts with her family. She wants like a booster seat for one of her children, her young children. But right before her, another mother she took the last one, the woman before her. And so she basically went up to her and started yelling at her and punched her in the face while yelling, "I am Dr. Amy Bishop."
Oh, is she a doctor?
Yes, because she has her PhD now in genetics.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm sure I've written this somewhere else, but this was like her thing. She would make it a point to anyone and everyone that she knew to tell them that she went to Harvard.
Harvard t-shirt on, drinking out of a Harvard cup.
Yes.
Writing with a Harvard pen. Yeah, classic.
So she's punching this lady in the face and saying, "I'm Dr. Amy Bishop."
Oh, there's like kids around. Like the other ones were, well, do you know what? They're all kind of like ballsy.
Yeah.
Like she's not trying to like secretly poison someone or like slink off, like do something and then like leave the body or whatever. Like she's just like, fuck it, I'll do what I want.
Right. But she's the type of person that I hate, that thinks that they're entitled to everything and just like pushes their way to the front, and just,
You're talking about white women, which we both are.
And people from Harvard.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I'm not saying that about people from Harvard. No.
I'm not saying that about white women. I'm just being a dick. And I am a white woman. So.
Are we?
Am I?
So she punched this lady. She was recommended to take anger management.
Yeah, you fucking think so?
Yeah. She never attended, though.
Oh, right, okay. Amy's too busy being a doctor from Harvard.
She's from Harvard. She doesn't need anger management.
No.
She was right to do whatever she did.
I mean, who hasn't punched a woman in the face for taking the last booster seat?
Oh.
I mean, I have.
How embarrassed would you be if you were her kid, though?
Oh my god, like, and her husband and the kid who was in the booster seat,
Yeah.
got to see their mum get punched, and like every fucker in the IHOP must have just been like, what?
Well, we know who you are, Dr. Amy Bishop.
It's like that. Oh my god, there's been an incident. Oh, do you know who it was involving? Well, yeah, she was screaming her own name.
She was also an aspiring novelist, which she thought would be her ticket out of academia.
Oh, I'm not being funny, but like, not people. They say everyone has a novel in them. No, they don't. Like, leave it there.
She would hold critique group sessions about her writing, where she'd just get people to come over to her house and they would read her book and critique it. And some members of the group said it was pretty intense and that her writing was very dark, and she felt entitled to praise. How like, imagine you've met this woman, you just started working with her at wherever, and she's like, oh, I've written a book, do you want to have a read of it? And then she says, oh, I'm having like a group session where everyone tells me what they think about the book, do you want to come over? And then you sit in her living room and it's the most intense situation.
What, you just quietly read it to yourself while she stares at you, and then you're so fucking scared to say anything bad about it.
Yeah.
Because you know she knocked someone out for taking a fucking booster seat. First of all, I'd make up an excuse so I didn't have to do it. Like, I can't read. Like, and then if that didn't work and she made me read it, I'd be like, why do I have to read it at your house? Why can't I just read it like on my own time? That's like, what is it, like, you've only got one manuscript and it can't leave your four walls.
Right.
Like,
no one can see this, I don't want it stolen.
Oh, fuck me. What a nightmare.
So her first novel was about a scientist who killed her brother but hoped to redeem herself by becoming a great scientist.
This is like when OJ wrote the book What If I Did It?
Yeah, If I Did It.
Yeah.
Her second novel was about a female scientist who was part of the CIA, and her third novel was about a scientist who saves the world from a pandemic herpes-type virus that makes pregnant women miscarry. Is this weird enough for you, Talicza? This
yeah. Fucking herpes. It reminds me of that. You ever seen that episode of The Simpsons where, like, Krusty, like, it's my favourite episode of The Simpsons. It's the one where they get a casino, and like Krusty he has like a little show, and his song just goes,
yeah,
herpes, burpees, bull, herpes, banana, fana, oh, burpees, herpes, ow! And now whenever anyone says herpes, that's all I can think of. I just start singing it in my head. It's probably not that I hear herpes that often, but
If you were one of these people at these critique groups and read this book and just started singing it to Dr. Amy Bishop.
She'd stab me.
She would.
I'd be dead.
She'd punch you in the face.
Oh. Right in the fucking kisser.
Anyways, so there's just so much more to this woman, and I didn't want to give her the time of day, so I'm just telling you all the, like, weird, funny things about her,
Yes, please.
All right, so in 2003, she accepts a tenure track position at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. So you know what tenure is, right?
Isn't that like where you can never be fired?
Basically, yeah. She didn't have tenure. She accepted a position that was basically like, you can possibly be up for tenure if you accept this position.
Okay. That seems really irresponsible. Like, what if you just suddenly get shit at your job?
Yeah, I know.
Or you. That seems like a really stupid thing to do.
I know. I don't know why it's a thing in like universities, and why universities should, why they do
Yeah, I might
that.
look that up.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's like, oh, you're so talented, like you're really smart, we really want you to stay working here type thing.
Yeah, because Ross gets it in Friends, doesn't he?
Right.
I'm gonna stop making pop culture references, like I promise.
Well, that's the only place that I've heard of it too, and it was a big thing.
Yeah, same.
So her husband and 4 children moved from Massachusetts to Alabama, which I think that would be a pretty big change. Massachusetts is kind of more East Coast, while Alabama is South, it's the South. So I think that would be a change for the whole family.
Yeah.
And she started working as an assistant professor. She was not very well liked, surprise, surprise, and alienated herself from colleagues and students. She would introduce herself as Harvard trained and reminded people of that continually.
Fucking hell, can you imagine?
Oh, if someone introduced themselves to me like that, I would immediately walk away.
Yeah, I'd just be like, oh, there's no point. Honestly, there's no point. Just like,
yeah. Really? Okay, bye.
oh, that is great. What is that? Is that a car?
Yeah. Oh, there's my friend Bill. I'm gonna go talk to him. So she was also a terrible teacher. Colleagues and students would complain about her erratic behavior, that she did things that weren't normal, and that she was out of touch with reality. Her students were basically like, and also the reenactment that I watched is just this woman like yelling at her students for asking a question.
I want to see who played her as well.
Yeah, she did a good job. I'm going to send you the link.
Okay, yes, please.
We'll also post it when this airs.
Yes, that's a really good idea. We can just screenshot it and put it on Instagram, like her, just like the actress just going fucking postal. like a screenshot
Yes.
of her face, like screaming. Let's find that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So her tenure was denied, and she filed a complaint for gender discrimination after hearing that one of her colleagues called her crazy. Even after the complaint was filed, the colleague was given the opportunity to retract his remark, but he stood by it,
Good
saying,
for him.
I said she was crazy multiple times, and I stand by that.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm all about standing by.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It's to do with the fact that she's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and that she's a shitty teacher, and that she's a shitty person.
Yeah.
All right, so by March 2009, after multiple students and colleagues had complained about her, she was denied her tenure, and her teaching contract was not renewed, and that would be her last year there.
That's going to be a shit year, though. Like, once you know you're not going to do a job anymore, you just start not giving a shit immediately.
Right, so I can't imagine how more shitty it got for her students.
Yeah.
She hired a lawyer, and her husband stated that this tenure ordeal was an issue and that it was a long, basically hard fight. She also bought a gun.
No. Amy, no.
I feel bad for her husband. I feel bad for her kids. Like, she's probably coming home every day, like, talking about how everyone else is stupid and she's the smartest one. I can guarantee that.
He seems like a nutcase as well, though.
I don't know. It might be, I'm just guessing, but she sounds very, what's the word?
Like controlling and like...
Overbearing, controlling, yeah. So it's possible that she was just like the star of her family, and that whatever she said went, He's just got wrapped up in... Yeah, she found someone who would go with her and listen to her. That was in March 2009, so almost a year later, on February 12th, 2010, 1 month before the semester ended and her job would end, Amy taught her anatomy and neuroscience class. Her students said she was perfectly normal.
For her.
Yeah. She then attended a faculty meeting in a conference room where she sat silently with a group of 13 faculty members for about 40 minutes before pulling out her gun, and she started shooting. According to one witness, she got up suddenly, took out a gun, and started shooting at each one of us. She started with the one closest to her and went down the row, shooting her targets in the head.
Whoa, headshots.
Yeah.
So she's like really thought about this. It's not like rage.
Right.
Like she's fucking aiming at their head.
Yeah. She's just going for it. Some of them hid under the table. Another witness, Deborah Moriarty, who she sounds like the hero of the story, said that Amy tried to shoot her but the gun went click and it seemed to malfunction. So that's when they acted and they pushed her out of the room, Deborah and a couple other people, and blocked the door with a table. Dr. Adriel Johnson, Dr. Maria Raglan Davis, and Dr. Gopi Podilla all died from gunshot wounds.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, like, you're just at work and, the person right next to you gets shot.
Oh, but if she worked there, you'd be like, if anyone's going to fucking shoot me, it's going to be this woman.
Right? I'm not going to be in the same room as her.
Do you ever do a quick scan around your office and you're like, if anyone is going to go fucking crazy and shoot me, it's going to be you? Like, I have someone like that in my office, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's on the edge. Like, if he misses a bus, he's just going to fucking crack out an Uzi.
Oh, it's sad, but I feel like in 2019, especially in America, like you have to think about that, you know.
To be fair, for you, that's a real worry. Like for me, I'm just joking. Like nobody has a gun.
They might, but
I mean, they might do, but
right.
The thing is, it'll be a shotgun, and they'll only be able to shoot like one or two people, and then they'll have to stop and reload. It's not like in America where you have like an automatic gun and you can just or a revolver. And you can just fucking take people out. Whereas, like in England, there'll be, if you had a revolver, it would be like a World War II antique. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being really naive, and you can get good guns or whatever, but I wouldn't know where to start. Put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, here you just have to like know where your exits are and realize who might go nuts at any moment.
Let's play a game called Who Might Go Nuts. And it's like there's nobody here. Oh fuck, it's me, isn't it? Like when you look around the room and you can't see that person, it's you.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's the worst.
No. And I work in there's only like 5 people that I work with, so that's a really small well, who's gonna shoot someone today? It could be me. No.
Who's your money on? You can't say, can you? They might listen. They're all great.
Everyone's fine. All right, so...
All right, anyway, moving on.
So 2 others in the room, Professor Dr. Joseph Lee and Staff Assistant Stephanie Montecillo, are seriously wounded, and a 3rd person in the room, Dr. Luis Cruz Vera, was shot but not seriously injured.
Mm-hmm.
Amy did not flee. She went to the bathroom, put her gun in the trash with some tissues over it, and took off her jacket and cleaned up the blood.
Oh, well done. That just shows like how normal it is to her.
Right.
You're not throwing a fucking tampon in the bin.
Yeah. Like oh, job done.
Yeah.
She called her husband to pick her up as they had a date night planned.
But
by the time she left the bathroom, the cops were there and they arrested her.
Okay, good.
So she just went in the bathroom, cleaned herself up, took a moment, called her husband, said, "Hey, come pick me up now. I'm ready to go home." And then she walked outside and the cops were there already.
Jeez.
Her husband was not arrested, but when questioned, he did say that he had taken her to the gun range for shooting practice over the past few weeks.
People do that though, there, don't they?
Yeah, that's like an
activity.
Yeah. Once in police custody, Amy acted in complete denial, saying it didn't happen. There's no way.
What?
When they asked her about the deaths of her colleagues, she replied, "There's no way. They're still alive."
No, take the comma out of that.
Right.
There's no way they're still alive. I'll correct you there, Amy.
Just say it as one sentence.
Yeah.
Shortly after Bishop's arrest, people at the university's biology department expressed concern to police that she had booby-trapped the science building with a herpes bomb, intending to spread the virus.
Herpes, burpees, bo burpees, banana, banana, oh burpees, herpes, ow! Herpes bomb. Oh, God.
She had previously worked with the herpes virus while completing her postdoctoral studies, also her novel.
Yeah.
However, the police had already searched the premises, finding only the handgun used in the shooting. So there was no herpes bomb.
I mean, fucking herpes. So everyone on campus is just going to have loads of cold sores, are they? They're just going to have genital warts.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't immediately kill you. Like,
No, it doesn't. If you treat it, you should be all right. But still, it's annoying. It would be an annoying bomb to set off.
that fucking Amy gave me genital warts via a bomb. What?
So gross. After the shootings, prosecutors reopened the 1986 case and concluded that there was probable cause to believe Bishop had committed a crime. Which is good, but her mom was still like, no, it was an accident. On June 17th, 2010, the grand jury indicted Amy for first-degree murder in her brother's death.
Good.
Her parents continued to claim it was an accident. While awaiting her trial in jail, she attempted suicide and was taken to the hospital where she was treated. This was not the only incident while she awaited trial in jail. She also got into fights.
Yeah.
Are you surprised?
I bet she's having the time of her life in prison. Like, it's just loads of people you can fuck with, like, for her.
Yeah, but I'm sure there are people who are a lot tougher than her in prison.
Well, you hope so, don't you?
Yeah. In 2012, the spouse of one of the murdered researchers wrote a letter to the judge presiding over the case. In this letter, the writer indicated that the researcher's family had greatly suffered from its loss due to Bishop's actions, but that the family did not see a benefit from the loss of another life. So basically, they were writing in to say, like, don't give her the death penalty.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
If a member of your family was killed, then it's hard to say, like, depending on how they were killed, it's hard to say if you would want the death penalty or not.
Right. And some people do, and some people... I think you could just tell that she's got issues, and that's what led her down this path.
You could almost argue that she is a bit mentally ill, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But she sounds very narcissistic. So if she were diagnosed with anything like a personality disorder, she'd probably be like, no, that's wrong. Nothing's wrong with me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
In response to this letter, Bishop's lawyers offered a change to her plea to guilty in exchange for the prosecution not seeking the death penalty. On receiving this offer, Chief Prosecutor Robert Broussard contacted and learned from the 9 survivors that none of them wanted the death sentence for Bishop. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, that is kind.
Yeah. On the basis of these opinions, Broussard decided not to seek the death penalty, and Bishop changed her plea to guilty. On September 24th, 2012, Bishop was sentenced to life in prison.
Without possibility of parole?
It doesn't say that.
They cannot put her up for parole.
No.
She will shoot anyone.
Yeah. So that was about a year and a half after she did that, she went to life in prison. 5 years after the incident, in 2015, she finally apologized, saying the shootings were a terrible crime and that she was mentally ill and didn't know what she was doing. She said...
She fucking knew.
She said she was terribly sorry to the victims and their families and her own family. She then goes on to complain that her lawyers were inadequate.
She's got 4 kids who, like, well, they're probably better off without her because she sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But still, like, there's 4 kids without a mum. So not only has she ruined, like, everybody's life who she shot, she also fucked up all her kids' lives as well.
Right.
But she doesn't care, does she?
No, because she apologized, but then she was like, oh, but my lawyers are stupid.
Yeah.
So one of the surviving victims, Joseph Lee, a microbiology professor who was shot in the head, rejected Bishop's apology. He said, do you think she's truly sorry? I think she truly wants to get out of prison. That's what I think.
I think he's probably got her number.
Yeah. As of this year, Amy is still in prison.
Good. Long may she stay there, like forever.
And that is the story of Amy Bishop.
Fucking hell, that was really good. Do you know what? I kind of remember, like, vaguely hearing about a woman who had,
Really?
I don't know, like, maybe, like, I heard about the punching somebody for a booster seat. I swear to God, I've heard that before. But that might just be another crazy woman who punched someone for a booster seat. Like, you don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I mean, the mums can get kind of mad, like, if their kid doesn't have a booster seat.
In an IHOP.
Yeah. How can you be mad in an IHOP? Fucking delicious.
Yeah, and also you would think someone who like went to Harvard and makes a big deal about academia, would they really be going to IHOP? Like that, it seems a little out of character. Like, wouldn't you be going somewhere a little bit fancier with your family? I don't know.
She knows she can punch people willy-nilly in IHOP and just get away with it. That's what it is. Like, they're just gonna be like, ma'am, please sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Why don't we calm this situation down with a nice round of cinnamon pancakes? That was great, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking that we keep doing ones that like neither of us have really heard of, because I like to think like I binge murder stuff at an inhuman rate. So like to find stuff I haven't heard of is a real treat.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I forget everything, so
That's true, yeah.
If a year from now I'm reading the Amy Bishop story, then you could tell me that I already did this. Thanks for listening to Transatlantic Crime this week. If you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe.
And if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at TransatCrimePod, Instagram at Transatlantic Crime, and on Facebook with Transatlantic Crime Podcast.
Thanks, bye.